Hey, good morning everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Friday, January 17th, 2020. Happy Friday, everyone. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. You'll notice that price continues to trend higher here. Very nice continuation here as we've had this pullback into the pivot range for the month. Again, another pullback similar to what we saw in December. December stretched it pretty wide to the upside. We're seeing the same type of price action here right now. Again, we've mentioned before there are levels to watch in case of a failure, but this thing has continued to hold above those levels. Additionally, we had a narrow 5-day range here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in the previous session here we closed with a breakout through the top of that range, finished the day strong, and are now seeing expansion out of that range. So we could be looking at much more expansion ahead. Again, after you break out from a narrow 5-day range, you could see a continuation much higher. It looks like about 98 points would get us to the upper 125% of range expansion target right there. That's about where you get to turn blue here. So again, we have about 98 handles of range that could be seen upon a breakout from this range. So we'll see how this continues to play out, but looking fairly strong. Again, one thing to keep in mind is this 8-period average continues to be very, very bullish. Every time price drops below it, it would be an opportunity to buy until that fails to be the case. So again, that's going to be one thing that we continue to watch. Here's a look at the NQ. You'll notice with the NQ here, this one is looking very similar to the ES. Very bullish uptrending market, a pullback, and hit the pivot range basically right there on the button, and then turned around and rallied. This one also has had a very narrow range here. You can see right there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the previous session here. Started to break it to the upside and are now seeing a continuation. Again, this one has 357 points of range that could be seen on a 5-day basis here ahead. So we have quite a bit more upside that could be seen. Look at the 8-period average. It continues to slope higher at a very steep pace. So again, any pullback to or below that 8-period here could be a buying opportunity for a continuation higher. This LVN continues to be an opportunity here for bulls to support should a pullback that deep occur. So this thing continues to remain very bullish and is now breaking through the top of that narrow 5-day range. All right, let's take a look here at crude oil. With crude oil, we've compressed over the last 3 days. 1, 2, 3. Now we have a compression here that's just 26% of ADR heading into RTH very, very soon. The previous week's low price is that level right there. Basically, we're right on it. And if price starts to squeeze above that zone, perhaps we see a little bit of a pop higher here. Again, we have a rounded bottom on the intraday. If you look at a 60-minute chart, for example, very clear rounded bottom. We have a very narrow 3-day range, and now we're narrow at the top of that 3-day range. So again, either we break to the upside and continue higher on a 1-day basis, or perhaps it tries to break and rejects, in which case we continue downward toward recent support. Again, we're on a path downward here, so any pop could be short-lived as this thing continues down toward the next support level below. All right, let's take a look lastly at gold futures. With gold here, we have a very narrow range. You can see down here it's compressed on a 5-day range basis, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But there's also another couple of days here, so it's really a 7-day narrow range. And this thing is pulled back into the Pima trigger zone, but hasn't lifted out of that zone just yet. Again, this market remains very bullish from a longer-term perspective, and but is now testing the upper end of the range here. I mentioned before, watch 1565. 1565 is the previous high over there. It rejected it here and is now showing it as resistance. If that remains resistance, it could easily pull back, say, to 1525, and perhaps get even lower, say all the way back to 1440. So 1565 is going to continue to be the zone to watch. If we see a breakout in either direction, it could be significant given that this is a narrow 7-day range. But 1565 is basically this zone right here. So anywhere in this zone, if it stays below it, it has a shot to drop. Above it, could squeeze it back towards 1600. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this develops the rest of the session. Good luck. Trade well. Happy Friday. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you all in the trading room. Take care.